slide presentation. Then the petitioner or the representative will be asked to state their name and address, be sworn in by the court reporter, and make a brief presentation to the board explaining the nature of the requested variance and the hardship necessitating it. The board will only consider the nature and condition of the property and whether these factors mandate a variance in order to allow for its full utilization. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts of the petitioner's presentation. When the board is satisfied with the material presented by the petitioner, the chair will then ask if there's anyone present online who would like to speak in favor of or opposition to the request. Each speaker will be asked to provide their name and address, be sworn in, and then state their comments. Procedurally, the petitioner may request a continuance at any time during the hearing prior to a call for the vote in order to bring in additional documentation or information. The board may also request a continuance to gather additional information or for a further visit to the site. After the conclusion of input from all interested parties, the board will ask a staff person to provide the Department of Planning's report on this matter if requested by any member of the board, the petitioner, or any individual that is participating online. Additionally, any other information not presented in the previous testimony but pertinent to the request will be noted at this time. Once all speakers have been heard, the chair will call for a motion to grant or deny with or without conditions, then the board will vote. At that time, the discussion relating to the petition is concluded and no further input will be permitted. The board will generally make a decision today. 4 members of the board must vote in favor of the petition for it to be approved. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use, or it will expire. If the board's decision is unfavorable, the petitioner has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. This appeal must be done within 30 days of the decision. Kathy, are there any questions at this time?
No, ma'am.
Hearing no questions at this time, the board will proceed. May the first request be read into the record, which will be followed by initial comments by the Department of Planning and a brief slide presentation.
BA 4-21 RL Jones Properties 17195 New College Ave, Wildwood, Missouri 63040. Care of Jessica Buxton, Farmington Signs 1249 Weber Loop, Farmington, Missouri 63640. Requests an exception to the city's sign regulations as applied within the town center area for the purpose of maintaining permanent signs installed without the benefit of a permit at 17209 New College Ave, Letty Lou's, St. Louis County, locator number 24V410231, which would thereby authorize business wall sign components at heights of 30 inches in lieu of the 24-inch maximum, and an overall square footage of 61 square feet in lieu of the maximum 50 square feet. This request is contrary to the regulations set forth in Chapter 415.420 sign regulations for all the C2 shopping district and Chapter 415.190 C8 planned commercial district regulations of the City of Wildwood zoning ordinance, along with amended C8 planned commercial district ordinance number 1895, which was approved by the Wildwood City Council on November 13th, 2012. This is in Ward 1.
Madam Chair, with your permission, the Department of Planning would like to introduce into the record the following items regarding this application. Chapter 400, Article 2 of the City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the Board of Adjustment. Chapter 415 of the same City of Wildwood Municipal Code, the zoning ordinance. The file that has been developed and maintained regarding this particular request and all contents contained therein, including the department's recommendation report. And then finally, Madam Chair, all items offered as part of tonight's public hearing on this particular petition, including any exhibits, plats, maps, or other testimony. Madam Chair and members of the board, with your permission, Ms. Arnett has a slide presentation of the particular site for your review. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Kathy.
Okay, are you seeing the aerial photo?
Mhm.
I have 3 screens, and so sometimes it shows the wrong screen. So thank you. As we do with all cases, the first slide will give you an orientation to where the property is within the city. The property is shown outlined in light blue. It is on the west side of State Route 109, just south of Manchester Road, kind of centrally located within the city. This is a close-up of aerial of the property itself. You can see Highway 109 bisecting north to south through the slide, and then New College Avenue on the south end of the development. And Letty Lou's is one of the businesses within development known as Wildwood Square. This aerial shows the topographic layout, and there is actually some relief on the property. The high point is at the corner of 109 and New College Avenue, and then it slopes to the north and northwest. This is New College Avenue, which covers the entire southern frontage of the property itself. We're looking in an easterly direction back towards 109. Wildwood Square is on the left side of the slide and is delineated by the stone pillars and the black wrought iron fence. New College Avenue is a city maintained street. As you can see, it's a divided parkway. The other frontage on the property is along its eastern border, and this is State Route 109. We're looking in a northerly direction as it goes downhill towards Manchester Road. The subject site is on the left and again delineated with the stone fencing with the black wrought iron in between. State Route 109 is a MoDOT maintained roadway that's multiple lanes and higher speeds. Across 109 from the subject site is Rockwood Bank, shown on the right side of the slide. This is the interior drive aisle, standing a little bit a ways, but in front of Letty Lou's, looking to the east. Again, Rockwood Bank is on the right center of the slide, and you can see the garden wall, the brick garden wall for Rockwood Bank and the stone wall for Wildwood Square, delineating the frontage of each along 109. And this is the entrance along at New College Avenue and its intersection with the entrance to Wildwood Square, which I'm standing on, looking at the surrounding site to the south, which is the Wildwood Family YMCA. And then the adjacent property to the west is St. Louis Community College Wildwood campus. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's about 1 degree when we were out there taking the picture, and man, it was cold, but it's pretty. This is the entrance to Wildwood Square from New College Avenue, and Letty Lou's is in the building that's shown central in the left. This is the subject site itself, Letty Lou's, and it shows the signage that was installed where the variance is being requested. You can see they have 3 sign banners across the frontage of that particular business. This is the Letty Lou's building is separated from the other building by this walkway that's also used for outdoor patio seating by the restaurant when it's not 1 degree outside. The next few slides just show the overall commercial development, and we'll give you some orientation to the other businesses and the appearance of the signage throughout the center. So this is obviously the building it's on. Letty Lou's is on the left. Now Letty Lou's is on the right, and it shows that public space in between with the seating and then the other building within the plaza. This is the other building within the plaza, which has Wildwood Yoga, Wildwood Pub and Grill, some other businesses as well. And then these are the plans showing the signage itself. And you can see that the Letty Lou's signage is 30 inches in height. And then the overall signs are in excess of 61 square feet, or approximately 61 square feet. And the department would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Arnett. Are there any questions for the Department of Planning from the board? All right, can the petitioner please state your name, address, and relation to the party, to the property? You're on mute.
Okay, I apologize. Ramona Jones. My home address is 19294 Pullman Road in Wildwood, Missouri. And
I'm Laura Jones. with R.L. Jones Properties. Our office address is 17195 New College Avenue. So it's in the same shopping center.
And what is your relation to the property at issue?
We're the owners.
Okay. Thank you. Can you please be sworn in by the court reporter?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I do, yes.
Thank you. Can you please explain the nature of your request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance as it relates to the character of the property?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. First off, I want to thank you all for your time in hearing this. We own and manage the center, and I'm sure as most of you guys are aware, if you're not, there was a fire at Letty Lou's in October of 2019. During the fire, Lisa Bax, the property or the business owner, decided to kind of rebrand and remarket her business. And during that time, she had reached out to our sign company, Midwest Light and Sign, to do a new sign. We did sign off on the signage, but they submitted everything to the city to get approved and never heard back. I'm not sure, Kathy, if Jessica Buxton with Midwest Light and Sign is here. She told me she was going to
They actually
be
go by,
joining.
they go by Farmington Signs,
Well,
just,
Farmington
yeah,
Signs,
not to confuse anyone. That was an old name.
There's no sign representative on the call.
Okay. So, yeah, she was supposed to be on the call too, so I apologize for her not being here, but she had reached out to, not sure who it was, somebody, I think Steve Volgo, maybe?
Yeah.
I'll have to find
Find
out
out,
from her, but she reached out to someone and never heard back due to COVID and everything going on. I believe it was in August. She had submitted everything and then never heard back. So I can't speak for them, but from what she has told me, that they got overwhelmed and Lisa kept asking what's going on with their sign, what's going on with their sign. So they went ahead and installed it without permits.
Right. And the only thing I can add to it, while I know it's over approximately 11 square feet to code, it's helped the business, Letty Lou's business, by changing. The original sign was red in color and this new sign is blue, as you all were able to see on the slide presentation by Kathy. We were just asking for the variance due to the fact that the sign has been up for quite a while already. And I guess it really wasn't known by us that the permit didn't really get approved. So we were just hoping that the sign, while we don't think it's, we understand that it is over the amount that's allocated, the 50 square feet. If we could do anything to get the variance, it would really truly help Letty Lou's out quite a bit. And from the slide presentation there, and I'm sure everybody's kind of familiar with the property, we don't feel that it's like out in your face or very too much
Too
over,
bold
too
or
overdone
anything.
or anything. We still feel that it ties in with the look that Wildwood is trying to maintain in the town center. And again, I do apologize. Jessica was supposed to be on here. While we can appreciate it was their bad to install the sign without when we signed off on it, we're always used to them making sure that it does meet the requirements and that. So we didn't question that part of it, because typically they always do obtain, they've done quite a bit of work for us and they always get sign permits. So any consideration would be greatly appreciated. I think Lisa was very busy at the restaurant tonight and couldn't be on. She was going to plan to be on the Zoom call and couldn't make it.
She's actually here. She just showed up and I just
Oh.
added her in as a,
Oh, did she? Okay, great.
Hey Lisa, we were just telling them about what happened with the sign. I'm not
I
sure.
think she's on mute.
Yeah,
isn't
she's
she?
on mute, but I just thought I'd fill her in if she had just joined.
Ms. Bax, if you would like to participate in the hearing, if you could unmute, then you can be sworn in to testify regarding the request. Thank you.
Should I proceed?
Madam Chair, if you wouldn't mind just giving her
Okay.
maybe a 30 seconds or so, just to see if it's just the connection, not necessarily. She has her hand up, so that's a good start. Again, Ms. Bax, if you can unmute, we could then participate. You could then participate. There you are.
Hi, Ms. Bax. Is anybody hearing her? I'm not.
We are not.
Kathy, is there anything we can do on our end?
No, Miss Bax, can you hear us? Like not, well, I'm not sure. I assume she has it connected to headphones or something and is unable to hear us, and we cannot hear her audio. So
Madam Chair, I would suggest that we proceed forward, and if she comes on before a motion is made, or excuse me, before the hearing is closed and then a motion is made. Oh, there she is now.
can't hear. Miss Bax, can you hear us? Yes, okay. On your microphone, can you change the input? 'Cause I think we can't hear you. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Are there any questions from the board for the petitioners? All right. Are there any speakers in the audience, Kathy, who want to speak in favor of or opposition to the request?
And there's one person in the audience, and I would just ask Lisa Bax is now on a second device. I can bring her in, and I would ask Miss Clark if she would like to speak to go ahead and use the raise hand feature.
Oh, I think it worked.
I hear
Yes, ma'am,
Lisa's
we can hear
voice.
you.
I don't see her, but I hear her.
Technology is great when it works.
Ms. Bax, did you want to add something to the request?
No, I just wanted to tell everybody that I really appreciate you considering this. It was not done on purpose at all. And you know,
Can
we
I-
had a fire and
Yeah, let me interrupt you real quick. Can you
Sure.
please, just for the court reporter, can you please state your name and address in your relation to the property?
Sure. My name is Lisa Ann Bax. My address is 18509 Wild Horse Creek Road, Wildwood, Missouri, 63005, and I'm the owner of Letty Lou's.
And then can you please be sworn in by the court reporter?
Absolutely.
I can't see you, but please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Bax, go ahead and can you tell us a little bit more about the nature of the request and the hardship or practical difficulty necessitating the variance?
Sure. Well, we had a fire about a year ago. Actually, it was more than a year ago. It was October of 2019. And the rebuild took a little bit longer when COVID hit. So before we reopened, I thought it would be nice to freshen everything up and maybe get a new sign, make it more bold. So I got together with Midwest Signs, and Jessica did a great job. And I think it was just probably the very first proposal she sent me. I just accepted it because it was perfect. And once everything went through, I said, go ahead and let's get it done. And when the sign went up, I just thought it just looked great. I mean, you could see it stood out, but nothing was ever done like, let's try to make it bigger than it actually should be. I think it was just quite honestly, just an honest mistake. I had we had no idea that there was no, they were a great company. So I just assumed there was a permit. And I know they had applied for a permit because it was part of the estimate. And I just accepted their bid and said, go for it. But I do appreciate everybody taking time to reconsider the variance or to consider the variance for us. Because it's just, I mean, it is, we've had so many comments on that sign. It's unbelievable. And even the police officers, they just like the blue. But I do appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you, Ms. Bax. Are there any board members that have any questions for Ms. Bax? And no, there aren't any speakers in the audience that are asking to be heard?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to offer the opportunity to hear an oral presentation of the department's report if it's so requested. Seeing no request for that, does the Department of Planning have any final comments?
Yes, Madam Chair, with your permission.
Please.
Madam Chair and members of the board, I'd just like to explain the circumstances as they have been told to me by the planning technician, Steve Vogel. I believe the sign company contacted the Department of Planning, and the first contact is typically Steve Vogel, the planning technician. According to Mr. Vogel, he had a conversation with the young lady that was representing the sign company and doing the work for R.L. Jones Properties and Letty Lou's, Miss Bax. The conversation concluded with Mr. Vogel advising them that they needed to submit plans for a permit and then an authorization also from St. Louis County. The plans were never submitted, and one day I was driving to work on Route 109 and noticed the sign had been installed and contacted the sign company and explained that the sign was there, but no authorization had been issued by the city of Wildwood. The young lady for the sign company did submit the information shortly thereafter. It was reviewed, and for the most part, the review indicated that the size of the lettering, not all of it, but some of it was greater than 24 inches, and the overall size was greater than 50 square feet. Knowing what that equated to, meaning that either a variance would need to be granted or the sign would have to be changed, I took it upon myself to basically wait a while and let Mrs. Bax get her feet on the ground after the opening. Let her get her business established before she got some more bad news. And so eventually, though, it came time that we needed to address it one way or another. So I take full responsibility for the delay once the plans were submitted because they were on my desk. But again, knowing that the fire was a pretty tragic event, not only for Miss Bax, but for the Joneses who own the center, it just didn't seem right to kind of follow up right away and start with another issue. So tonight, unfortunately, though, the department's bound to look at these requests from a perspective of practical difficulty or a unique circumstance. And for the most part, all of the tenant spaces have the same kind of situation in terms of the sign bands, their visibility, and the requirements that have been established since 2008. So the department's looking at it from strictly the application of the requirements, and it is not supporting the variance tonight. I'm available for any questions or comments regarding the matter prior to the Board of Adjustment hearing and certainly the report tonight.
Thank you, Director Munich. Do any board members have any questions for the Department of Planning before we close the proceeding?
Hey,
All
Mary,
right. Yes.
is it too late to go back to the petitioners for a question?
No, right, Joe? You can go ahead.
Yes, you can.
Have there been any discussions if the sign were to need to be replaced, whose cost that would be? I mean,
Mr. You're freezing up on me. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't hear any of it. You're freezing. It's kind of glitching. You want to try again?
Yeah, is that better? Is it
Oh,
steady?
oh yeah.
My question was to the petitioners, if there had been any discussion, if the sign did need to be replaced, whose cost that would be? Who would be responsible for that?
Talked about that. No.
Not with us. I don't know with Lisa. We have not had any conversation.
Ms. Bax, do you?
I don't know who that would be on, quite honestly. I don't know if, because I approved it, if it would be on me or if it would be on the sign company. That would be something we would have to look into.
Are there any other questions for the board or for the Department of Planning or the petitioners? All right.
Question.
I had a quick question.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask Joe, are there ever any considerations given when you look at the size of the frontage? Because obviously Letty Lou's is pretty wide compared to some of the other tenants in there. So for example, if you had 3 separate tenants in their space, you know, obviously you add the signs together, it could be over 60, but that wouldn't be against any sort of ordinance because they're individual tenants. I'm just curious if anything like that's come up before, just based on the size, in this case, the width of the building and the space that they have to work with. Have we ever done a variance for the total square footage before?
Specifically to this property, we have not, but as you know, the Board of Adjustment has been asked on many occasions to grant variances to sign size. For example, Deerberg's, the Wildwood Hotel, B&B Theater, some of the larger uses, and that's a characteristic that seems to be consistent when the spaces, the tenant spaces are larger than what we typically consider. In this instance, what the department, what I should say is, years ago, the city used to calculate square footage of signage based upon the height and width of the tenant space and then take 5%. In 2006, we went more toward a standard that we just measured the length of the building, because that really tells you the sign band, how much is available. And so for every foot of tenant width of the space, you get 1 square foot of sign up to 50 square feet. 50 square feet is the maximum, and that's set by the underlying regulations of the zoning ordinance for this particular commercial district. So it's the maximum size that's allowed, and this particular user could get that maximum size, but can't exceed it because the code doesn't allow it. But the board can grant it.
Gotcha.
Any other questions before I close the proceeding? All right, at this time, I'd like to close the proceeding and ask for a motion to approve, deny, or approve with conditions.
Madam Chair, I know this is somewhat unusual, but again, when I noted in the presentation, not all of the lettering exceeds 24 inches in size. It's generally the first letter in each of the words, particularly with Letty Lou's. And so there may be a rationale to postpone if the property owners and Ms. Bax would like, just to consider, what if the letter, just those letters were reduced in height? What effect would that have on the square footage? And then maybe the variance could be reduced in size, at least in terms of size. And since the sign is up, there's no hardship per se. The identification of the business will stay over the next 30 days while we see if there's maybe a way to lessen the impact a little and maybe make the variance less in terms of size and height. And then maybe she can keep most of the sign and only replace a couple letters maybe.
Okay, Joe, so just my understanding is just the L in Letty and the L in Luce. If we have Jessica Buxton size those down so they're 24 inches and then see where we are at square footage.
Yes, what I'm suggesting is any of the lettering, and it's usually, as I said, from recollection, it was always the first letter in each, at least in Letty Lou's, and maybe in one of the others, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay,
If we could size those down to 24 inches, then see what the square footage is. Maybe the variance instead of 61 square feet is 55 square feet. And again, that may sway the decision of the board. And the only reason I suggested it is because the sign's in place. So
Right.
it's the business is not without signage. And
Right.
that would be unacceptable, obviously.
Well, Lisa, I would think that that would sound like maybe we should have it, give us that opportunity to look into that.
Sure, absolutely.
Then, Ms.
Are we asking for a motion to postpone then?
If I need to make the motion, I would make a motion that we postpone it for 30
on the
days.
board.
Oh, I was gonna say. Sorry.
Is that right, Joe?
Appreciate the board doing that, yeah.
Yes, Madam Chair, if, I believe the petitioners would like a motion to postpone for 30 days or to the next meeting. And then we'll spend some time figuring out what we can do to maybe lessen the variance and make something work out there that's good for everybody.
Okay.
Unless you guys are gonna approve it.
Yeah, yeah, and if I'm stepping out of line, please tell me to step back in line and I'll mute myself.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a motion to postpone? All right. We have a motion to postpone from Ms. Coleman. Do we have a second?
That's a good idea.
I'll second. Or
We have a second from Mr. Bolazina. Mr. Frank, how do you vote?
Yes, to postpone.
Mr. Bolazina, how do you vote?
yes,
Mr. Trapani, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Ms. Coleman, how do you vote?
Yes.
I also vote to postpone the variance request until the next meeting.
Madam Chair, we'll advertise both because I believe Ms. Jones, Laura Jones, had a good point. You may have wanted to approve it tonight. So we'll advertise both and you can make your decision from there.
Okay. All right. That's it for the meeting. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.